Yasid or Yasid Design, and I'm originally from Mauritius, but I live in London for almost a decade now, and I specialize in car design and concept art. So I've always been interested in cars. I know it's a bit of a cliche to say that since a little boy I love cars like everyone else does. It has always been about the drawing for me, about the design of the cars. If I see a car right now on the streets, a nice, beautiful car, would just be really excited to see it. But what's more interesting for me here is about the lines, how it's designed, the different elements of it, how it's all put together. This is actually what catches my attention most of the time. My main inspiration, for example, right now is mainly motorsport. I like motorsport. I have a thing for motorsport, and I tend to actually take every car that I work on and turn it slightly into motorsport, even if it's a bit road legal, maybe less crazy to be able to be road legal. And this is one of my main influence. My main influence into motorsport has been, for a long time, classic Formula One. But this is one place where I get my influence, my inspiration from. Another place where I will get my inspiration from is sci-fi movies, like, for example, like Blade Runner and everything that is inspired with cyberpunk, or a bit of sometimes there's steampunk or dieselpunk, like Mad Max, for example. This is where it all comes from. Since I was a kid, I've been growing up with all of these, and it all comes down to what I'm doing today. So I'm a big fan of the newest technology that's coming out, even though I actually have a big preference to take my pen and paper every day to sketch. Every new project that I start is the pen and paper, that's where I start. But that's not really talking about technology, is it? When it comes to technology, I have three main things that I use, or maybe two main things. The first two main things would be like my computer and my graphic tablet. But the third thing that I recently added to my arsenal is a VR set, which now gives you the ability to do 3D modeling in VR. It's not really that detailed, in the workflow. It's a really small part of the workflow. So, for example, for the TRACKtor that I've designed for the game, I take my pen and paper, do all the sketches that I need to do, just some very rough ones, and then I bring these sketches into my 3D software inside the VR, and then I just walk around and connect some lines and try to get an idea of the size of this and that. And then I usually take these and I put in my main software on my computer, from which I actually start to work on top of that. This is what I did for the TRACKtor. So what I've done for the Crew 2 is a TRACKtor, written in a funny way, TRACKtor. So this is a bit of a madness that I've done a couple of years ago. Like I said previously, I'm a big fan of motorsport. This is where one of my main inspiration comes from. And my main place in motorsport has always been a classic Formula One. So like I said, this TRACKtor has been a madness from years ago. And I've taken the liberty to take a TRACKtor, an old TRACKtor, and an old Formula One car, and I put them together and actually created something, for the track. Maybe a farmer could drive around the track. But that's actually something that I've done before, and I was actually very happy with it. So needless to say, when the crew Ivory Tower reached to me and tell me they need something to design, I had no idea they were interested in this. But then when the brief came in, it was supposed to be inspired by this, redesigned in a very specific way. I was really happy. So the TRACKtor that I've done years ago, and this one is like a massively improved version for the game. Well, if this could be on the track, maybe. It is called a TRACKtor after all. But maybe there will be a restriction for only farmers to drive it, because I think that might be a bit complicated to drive on the streets. So we have to think that as a designer, I think that I have quite a liberty to do things that breaking the rules, so to speak. And this is something that I actually really like to do when it comes to design. For example, if you were to design to a design house for a car company or something, there is a lot of rules to follow. What I have done and what I do is actually the complete opposite. So, for example, When you design a car for a car company, they tell you the front overhang can't be too long, the rear overhang can't be too long. It's either one or the other. But I thought to myself, why not just break the rules and just do what you want? As long as it looks like it can drive, it can steer, it can go fast, it can brake, I think that's fine. It's all a make-believe world that I'm actually working on. So mixing science fiction, a bit of sci-fi, all of these things into the real world is absolutely possible when you're actually designing cars for games, when you're actually designing cars for movies, or designing anything for fun. When it comes to actually building them, it's a different story, which I do sometimes, designing things that actually gets to be built, but then you of course have to respect restriction for it to be able to be road legal. But that's a very different story. But when it comes to designing cars for game, I think there's no rules. I've been designing things, I've been mixing things together. Like I said, for the TRACKtor, I mixed the Formula One and the TRACKtor together, and you get something that you would usually not see anywhere else. And this is what I like to do. And when it comes to actually designing cars with specific brands, I also like to break some rules. Like, what if this car company did something that looked a bit different? I think that's really fun. I think that's a very nice place to explore, instead of just having the normal thing all the time. So my favorite creation is a very difficult question. It's like asking me, which one is my favorite child? So it's a bit difficult to answer, but I have to say, and I might sound a bit biased, but things that I've done for like different games and everything, these are usually my favorite because they are a bit of a milestone and they mean a lot to me. But if it's to separate these contract jobs that I've had for different companies for games and everything, it's very difficult to say which one is my favorite. However, I've been working on a series of concepts recently that I am hoping that I will finally have a few favorite ones. They say that the designer or an artist is never satisfied. I don't know, something like that. So if you want to know more about me, you can find me on Instagram, which is one of the platforms that I am the most common on and most frequently on. And I am also on YouTube, but my main home is my website that I have recently rebuilt from zero because I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of projects that I would like to share with people. Of course, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube, but my main platform I'm hoping will be forever my website.